There are many ways to create object in JavaScript, so let's see some of them. I would like to start by creating an object with object literal syntax. Let's say const John, for example, equal to an object, and there's a name, John, age, let's say 29, and there's a method called say hello. Say hello is a function that console.log. Hello, I am this dot name. Okay, so here we have one object called John, and if we wanted to create another object, we need to, let's copy this and put, for example, Peter. Okay, and the age is, let's say, 34. And if we wanted to create more objects, like maybe more than 2 objects, like let's say 10 or 100, then what we needed to do is copy and paste them. There's two problems here. One is that we have the repeated properties. Here we have name, age, say hello in all our objects, which is repeated. And the second problem that we have, if we make one change in the object, we need to change that in all our objects. Like let's say I want to add last name Smith, and I want to add the last name in Peter as well. Last name Miller, for example. Okay, so here I only changed 2 of the object, but as I said, if we wanted to change on 100, then this is going to be a lot of problem and time consuming, and also the properties are all repeated. In order to solve this problem, we need to use the factory function. In the factory function, let's say person, the factory function will take name, age, and it will return an object, name, we have age, and a method called say hello. Say hello is a function that will console.log hello, I am this dot name. Okay, now if we wanted to create a new object, let's say John, let's let John equal to person, and we put the argument John, age 29. Now if we wanted to create more object, so let's say Sam, let Sam equal to person, we will say Sam, and the age is 35. So as we see here, it is much simpler. We didn't need to repeat the name, age, and the method in all our objects. And also, if we make any changes, we only need to do that in the factory function. So let's say I want to add last name. Okay, and now if I say hello, I am this dot name and last name, or we can say this dot last name. So we only change that in the factory function. Now let's put that Smith and Miller. So as we see, it is much easier. Our change was only in the factory function, and any change that we make is going to affect all our objects. So this is much easier and simple. As many as objects that we create, it is very fast. There's also another way to create object. It is called constructor function. So let's see the constructor function. We say function person, and the constructor function, we need to capitalize the first letter of the function name. So here, as we see, the P is capitalized, and then it will take name and age. We say this dot name equal to name, and this dot age equal to age. We also have a method, this dot say hello equal to a function that says console.log the same thing, hello, I am this dot name. Okay, now if we create a new object, let's say let John equal to, in order to create a new object we need to use the new keyword, so we say new person, the person function, constructor function, and then we put the argument, the name John, and the age 29. So as we see here, we can also create as many as objects as we want, and it is much simpler. This is called constructor function. So in the constructor function we need to put the first letter of the constructor function name as capital, and also when we wanted to create a new object we need to put the new keyword. Now you might want to ask that why we not stick with the factory function and use the constructor function. The answer would be that in the constructor function we can use the inheritance, but in the factory function we cannot use the inheritance. So let's say for example we have another constructor function, athlete. So let's say function athlete, and it will take name, age, and also sport. We will say if we not use the inheritance, so we would say this dot name equal to name, this dot age equal to age, this dot sport equal to sport, and then we also have our method say hello. This dot say hello equal to a function that will say console.log. It will say hi, I can play, let's say this dot sport. So here we have another constructor function that is athlete. In the athlete we have all the same thing, name, age, like the person. The only difference that we have here is the sport, and that is something new. And if we not use the inheritance we will repeat the same thing, the name and age. In order to solve this problem we will need to use the inheritance, and the inheritance we will remove the this.name since it's already repeated, so we can inherit those properties from the person because that does already exist. So now let's inherit those. We will say person dot call name and age. So what it will do, it will inherit the name and age from the person, so we don't need to put the name and age again in our constructor function that is athlete. Okay, so we also need to put the this. So we put the this because to point the object to the person constructor function. So when we create a new object, that object should point to the person constructor function. Otherwise the this might point to the global or window. So now if we create a new object, let's say let John equal to new person or new athlete, we put John and the age is 29, and we put soccer for the sport. Now let's call the method. Okay, so in the athlete we can say we can change the say hello to play, like let's say play. And now if I want to call the play, I can say John.play. Let's call that. Okay, so John is already, so let's comment this out because this is already repeated. Okay, here it says hi, I can play soccer. And this is the method that we have for the athlete, but we don't have that in the person. We can also use the methods of the person. So if I say, so this method that we have, the play, is only specific to the athlete. This was not for the person. And let's use the John dot say hello. Here we can see that it says hello, I'm John. So we can use the method of the person, which is the parent. So this is the parent function that we inherited. We can also have our own method that we just called. This is the inheritance that we can use. We can also add like a new method to our parent function, like let's say person dot prototype dot walk. For example, I want to add walk, and the walk method will say console.log hello, I can walk. Okay, so this is one of the method that is added to the person. So here we say person.prototype.walk. Now if I say, let me create a new object. So we already have an object here. Let's cut this and paste it here. Okay, let me comment this out. We have John that is created a new object from the person, and now let's call the new method which is walk. So if I say John dot walk, here it says hello, I can walk. So we use that method which is added by the prototype. Now if I wanted to let's create another object from the athlete and call that method. Let's say, let me comment this out. Now let's create an object from the athlete. We will say let Sam, for example, equal to new athlete, and we say Sam 31 and soccer. Okay, now let's see. We say Sam dot, we can say play. Here it says hi, I can play soccer. And if I wanted to call the method from the parent, which is person, let's say hello. It works perfectly fine. But what if we wanted to use the method which is called walk? Let's see if that works or not. We say walk. Here it gives us an error that says sam.walk is not a function. It is only accessible for those objects that are created for the person but not for the athlete. So in order to solve that, we will use the so here we will say athlete dot prototype equal to object dot create person dot prototype. Now let's call our method again, sam.walk. This is created from the constructor function of the athlete, not from the person. So now let's run our code again. It says hello, I can walk. So it means now this problem is solved. When we put the athlete.prototype equal to object.create person.prototype, what it will do, it will check the prototype of the athlete, and then also it will check the prototype of the person. So it will create, once we create our object, it will be created from the person prototype object. So now this solve our problem. We also have classes. ECMAScript 2015 introduced us class syntax to JavaScript as a way to write reusable class using easier, cleaner syntax, which is more similar to classes in C#, C++, or Java. So let's see how the class work in the ESX. Let's delete this. And class is not actually the same class as C# or Java. It is actually the syntactic sugar over prototypical inheritance. So let's see how we can create a class. We will say class person, for example, and we have constructor name age. We we say this name dot name equal to name, and then we have this dot age equal to age. We will have this, for example, say hello equal to a function, and the function will say console.log, same like the one that we already used. We will say hello, I am this dot name. Okay, now if we wanted to have another constructor function or another class, all we need to do is extend that. So we will say class, for example, athlete. We will use the extend keyword. So here it says extend person. So what it will do, the athlete class will extend to the person, so all the properties that we have for the person, it will inherit from that. So we will say constructor name, and we have one extra thing which is called sport. Now in order to use the parent class properties, we need to say super. We will say super, for example, name, and also age. Okay, now we will say this dot sport equal to sport, and we have a method called this dot play, for example, equal to a function. The function will say console.log hi, for example, I am this dot name, I can play this dot sport. Okay, now if we create a new object, we will say, for example, let John equal to new person, John. Okay, age, let's say 29. Now if I say John dot say hello, it will say hello, I'm John. So we have this object from the person. Now if I wanted to create another object from the athlete, I can say, for example, let Bob equal to new athlete Bob, and the age is, let's say, 30, and also soccer we have. Now if I say Bob dot play, here it says age is not defined, so let's see. Age is not defined at 13, so let's see age. Okay, we need to put the age. Now let's call our function again. It says hi, I'm Bob and I can play soccer. So this is the object that we created from the athlete. So the athlete, and the athlete we don't have name, age. So in the E6, what we do to inherit those properties from the person, we use the super. So we have super, name, age. So what it will do, it will inherit the name and age from the person class. So this was all about the class and also inheritance. Thank you very much for watching.